The Changeover is back with another episode. This week,
I think it's safe to say that we can all admit we may have, subconsciously or not, chosen marketing tactics because they were measurable, provable, and you could then tell that narrative. Now that we can't do that, like, we're forced to go back to creativity, to the humanity side of it all, understanding our audiences and being creative and thinking about the psychological effects of what we're writing.
In this age of AI, the skill that I think is going to be most important is taste, like honing tastes, honing a sense of style, right? Like knowing what's kind of like too derivative and knowing like, oh, this is actually novel. This is interesting. This is witty. I think being able to know what's good, being able to know what's good marketing, that's going to be really meaningful.
Welcome back to the ChangeOver Podcast. I'm Chelsea Drusch of Wider Group. Joining me is Amanda Natividad, VP of Marketing at SparkToro. I want to kind of touch on this subject for a minute. If you think about the Google search algorithm, we used to be able to black hat that, right? And we could make things happen based on how we know the algorithm works. And over time, the algorithm got better at not allowing that and providing a better experience, which forced marketers to ironically market better by doing things that are actually focused on creating a good experience for the end user. I feel like that is happening with all this zero-click atmosphere as well. Like, we are now forced to focus on providing value, not attracting people, not gating things, not quote unquote enticing or tricking you into giving us your contact information, but we now have to focus on providing value. And shouldn't that have been what we've been doing this entire time?
Right. It's like saying, hey guys, we got to do good marketing now. And it's like, wait, shouldn't we have always been doing good marketing?
Yeah. I was on a panel yesterday. We were talking with a bunch of industry marketers and we were having exactly the same conversation. It was in the context of what's different now for AEO or GEO as compared to SEO. And everyone kind of was coming to the same conclusion of, as far as decision-making for what tactics you should be deploying, it's not different. You're supposed to be providing value and writing good content that helps answer questions for your prospects. And there might be some structural optimizations you can make to assist that technology in finding it better. But in the end, make good things that help people and you'll get where you need to go, right?
I've been thinking about this a lot. So my colleague, Rand Fishkin, and his friend, Patrick O'Donnell over at gumshoe.ai, they have this new research out today on the way that you can get mentions in AI. That's like the broadest way I can put that. And one thing, there's a lot in this research and it is worth reading, not once, but probably 4 times so that you fully get it.
I have it up on my other screen.
You have it.
It's already been circulating this morning.
For sure, right? I mean, I've had to read it, I think 4 times now, and I'm going to read it again. It's very dense. There's a lot in this research, and it's absolutely a step in this right direction of, okay, fine. If we are going to invest in AI, like if we're going to make decisions to, double down on our AI reach or use AI, like we need to better understand it, right? I don't think anyone would disagree with that, but we need to understand which data points we can and cannot trust, right? So one example here is something I learned through that research is AI ranking isn't really a thing. Like if you ask ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini for a list of things, like, hey, give me like a list of the top 10 chef's knives that I should consider buying, it's going to be a randomized list every time, right? So you can't say, and I don't know how many people are saying this specifically, but I'll just say anyway, you can't say like, oh, we rank number 1 in AI queries.
Right.
No, you don't, because it's
That's
going
not how it works.
Right, like run the same query 10 more times. Like you might still be mentioned in that list, but you're not going to be number 1 every time because it doesn't work that way, right? It is that the ranking is random. However, what the least worst metric I think that we can track is your visibility percentage. So when I say like, okay, don't rank number 1, run it 10 more times, if you run that query 10 more times, do you show up every time? Do you show up half the time? And we saw that through that research, the top 3 brands rank, I think it was like around 65% of the time. So that could be a benchmark you could think about. Like, hey, in AI queries related to audience research, SparkToro shows up more than half the time. That's pretty solid, right? Solid in the sense of that at least gives you something to kind of anchor to. Mm-hmm. But you can't say like SparkToro ranks first in every audience research query. So that is one thing you could think about, AI visibility or visibility percentage. Now, how can we apply that to the whole do good marketing stuff? I think it's worth considering the way that AI, Google, whatever, like the bots, the way they scrape the web. You're preventing them from being able to take in and synthesize your information. So if you're gating everything, and I don't think most people are gating everything, but I'm using this as an example. If you're gating a bunch of stuff or everything, you are reducing the chances that AI, that Google, whatever, can see you, and thus you are reducing your chances in getting mentioned or getting visibility in the robots.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think there's an emerging new set, and I know I just totally annihilated best practices earlier, but I do think there's like an emerging new set of technical and structural best practices that if you care, if it's important for your marketing distribution strategy that you show up in AI-driven search, like you should be thinking about these 6 things. You shouldn't be hiding a bunch of stuff behind toggles. You shouldn't be blocking crawlers. You know, those, I think there's a short list of things there that are emerging as common best practice. But I think, you know, the days of optimizing a particular piece specifically for the purpose of becoming visible in a certain place, those might be over. You know, the way we used to optimize toward a specific keyword search, that's not nearly as straightforward now in AI-driven search. And so once you've kind of met that threshold structural technical foundation, from there, I think the guiding principle is really about the value creation for the end user.
I think there's a way you can be smart about it where you can gate some stuff, you can give away other stuff, you can make things more digestible in the social platforms. Like at this point, it really is an art, you know, and I'll say like good art is grounded in some level of science, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that it feels more like art now, because I have felt that too. It feels like as much as marketers are frustrated by some of the data loss and some of the, the dark social, all the things we were mentioning earlier, at the same time, it almost feels like freedom, like creative freedom again, like because we're not shackled by, I think, some decisions that used to be made because we knew we could prove it, which probably wasn't good marketing then either. But I think it's safe to say that we can all admit we may have, subconsciously or not, chosen marketing tactics because they were measurable, provable, and you could then tell that narrative. Now that we can't do that, like we're forced to go back to creativity, to the humanity like side of it all, understanding our audiences and being creative and thinking about the psychological effects of what we're writing and how do we get people to convert psychologically, not just with their data. So I actually kind of love that side of it all because it feels like what's old is new again in a lot of ways, and it's refreshing.
Some of the best marketers or writers and some of the most chronically online people are going to get better at recognizing what's written by AI. There are times that I read something and I kind of get the pricklies and I'm like, I don't think a person said this. I think this was ChatGPT.
Yep.
Like it's the short sentence, longer sentence that explains it.
That's so true.
One word, opposite word, pithy conclusion. Yeah. You know, where it's tough because sometimes it's good. And sometimes you're like, oh dang, I wish I said that.
It usually is
I thought of it.
But it has a tell.
I think that's something that haters don't want to admit. They're like, no, it's not good. It's slop. No, sometimes it's pretty good because it's also, I mean, these things are trained on us. It's trained on our history.
So if you're saying it's bad, then you're saying we did a bad job training it with all of the content we gave away for free.
Right, with all the really good and like award-winning content, right? I'm not saying that it's original. There's a distinction, right, between original and good and whatever. It's derivative, but it's pretty good.
Okay, let me ask you this. Given everything we just talked about, if you were advising a marketing director, what things would you tell them to start thinking about differently? Where would they focus first? What are the most important changes going forward, knowing what we know now?
I feel like everybody's been saying in the age of AI, it's be more human than ever. And I agree with that. And use it to help you create outlines or get to that next step of non-shitty content, or non-shitty marketing. But then from there, you need to take it and really be in the driver's seat. Because in this age of AI, right, the skill that I think is going to be most important is taste. Like honing tastes, honing a sense of style, right? Like knowing what's kind of like too derivative and knowing like, oh, this is actually novel. This is interesting. This is witty. I think being able to know what's good, being able to know what's good marketing, how to do gooder, right? That's going to be really meaningful. So I'm just going to say like get better at honing taste so that you can use AI to your advantage. Or so that you know how to stand out from all of your competitors, right? If all your competitors are using slop, then what can you do that's demonstrably better than that?
Right.
Like how can you really truly connect with your audience? And you can't truly connect if you're farming out your thinking to AI, right? So it's just how like it's a kind of, I think it's an exercise in taste development, empathy, and connection. Like, how do you really feel your customers or your audience's pain points, and how can you solve them? What can you do uniquely that really helps them? And how do you do that in a way that scales and is repeatable over and over and over again?
To even take that another level tactically, you could almost think about it from the perspective of take all the time that you're saving by utilizing your AI tools to actually create the thing and move all that time into the planning of the creation of the thing. So spend way more time on the front end, really understanding that target that you're going after and what makes them tick and what's valuable to them, making sure that you understand the competitive landscape of what you're putting this marketing asset out into and what it's going to be working against, and really honing essentially like the creative brief of what I'm going to do with this thing and what I want it to accomplish, and making sure it's really high quality, and then have AI create it for you. And I think we've fallen into the trap so much of AI can just make us go faster, faster, faster. But how can we create quality at a speed that doesn't allow time for creativity?
Well said.
If you're game, I have some like bonus questions that I kind of want to just throw at you like lightning round style. And you just answer me like 10 seconds or less off the cuff.
Love it. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. If you could permanently remove one marketing metric from executive dashboards, what would it be? And would you replace it with something else?
Oh, that's a fun one. Oh, what can I replace? I am going to replace referral traffic, or take out referral traffic because it's not helpful. And I'm going to add impressions.
I like that. I think the referral traffic bit's going to be a tough case to build for our friends who love data, but I really like the emphasis on impressions.
Yeah, because when I talk about impressions, like I know that it sounds lame or whatever to be like, okay, 10,000 impressions. What does that mean? I push back on that with, fine, if you put your links in there or if you don't optimize for impressions, you're going to crush your impressions by like 10x and no one's going to see your stuff anyway. So what's the point in being obsessed with this click when no one's going to see it?
Yeah, you have to be able to get it out there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good it is.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most common way you see teams misapply the concept of zero-click marketing in a way that actually backfires?
Oh, it's when people think, oh, okay, so I'll just never put links anywhere ever. Got it. And that sounds a little bit like, sounds kind of reductive, but I do hear that a lot. So they're saying, okay, so you're saying never put any links anywhere. So what did you do? And I'm like, I'm not saying never put links. I'm saying you can't count on the click to happen. The bigger part is optimizing for impressions so that when your audience is ready to convert, whether converting means reading, buying, downloading, whatever, it means that it's easy for them to do it. So I'm saying put the link in bio. Make it really easy for people to know where to click when they're ready. I'm just saying don't count on that click to happen today. It might just
don't
take a while.
assume that they're ready.
Yeah.
So that is kind of, again, what's old is new again. If you hearken back to the whole, your brand needs to be shown to somebody, I don't remember if it was 7 or 9 or whatever the metric was, 7 or 9 times before they're ever going to remember it. Kind of that traditional brand awareness metric
I think it's
becoming
like
important
7.
again.
Yeah.
When you look at a brand's content, what's the fastest signal that tells you they're getting it?
Honestly, it's when I can read something of theirs, like a social post or whatever it is, like just one snippet of their marketing and understand what it is they're saying. Whether it's, ooh, I agree with that point, or, oh, I don't agree with that, or, oh, I know what they sell. It's not for me, but I know what they sell, right? Because I know the difference now between something that is just poorly written or bad or not strategic and something that is, oh, that it seems good. It's just not for me.
Sure. It has substance.
Totally. If something is good but not for me, that's really good marketing because it speaks to somebody and it's clear.
When you look at a brand's content, what's the fastest signal that tells you they're still stuck?
You know, it's the jargon, right? When like the website says optimize for the turnkey solution, whatever. Like, you know, when it's all jargony and you're like, oh, they don't know what it is either. Or when they lean on terms like world class, I'm like, oh, it's because they don't know what it is.
Yes. Simple, clear, substantive language. I love that. All right, last one. 5 years from now, what do you think marketers will regret not having changed sooner?
They will regret not doing the work of getting better at a craft. Like they're going to regret, oh, I really should have worked on my writing skills. Like now I'm not that good at it and AI can do it better than me. That's a huge disadvantage. Or it's, I really liked video editing and I stopped doing it and now like it's really hard for me and it takes me 10 times as long as it should. You know, like the things like that which are related to craft. I think craft is always going to be important.
I love that so much because as humans, which we all are in the end, I feel like AI is enabling us to lose some of our critical and creative thinking skills. And I worry about that even for myself because it can be so helpful. It can be such a good, you know, we use ChatGPT to help us bounce ideas, to help us get to a point of a really good creative brief. And we do all these things and it can be really additive to the process. But sometimes I think to myself, maybe you should just go a day a week without using any of these things so your brain stays sharp and able to have those critical thinking and creative thinking skills that you used to have to rely on it for.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. This has been super interesting, and I am very excited to continue this conversation because you will be a speaker at Widert's conference, Experience Inbound, coming up here at the end of April, the 28th and the 29th in Milwaukee and in Green Bay. Can you give us just a tiny little preview of what we can expect in your talk there?
Yeah, I'm pumped. So I'm going to be talking all about zero-click marketing. And, you know, I've been talking about it for a while now. We talked about it here, but I'm going to have newer research, newer frameworks, just a really new, fresh presentation on what this means for marketing leaders and what we can actually do about this, right? So it's going to have a lot of really good new tactics for people to try out.
Excellent. I can't wait. Thank you so much.
Me too. I'm pumped. It'll be fun.
Thanks for joining us on the ChangeOver Podcast. Remember to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Widert.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. And are you ready to learn more about today's most effective marketing and sales strategies? Then you need to be at Experience Inbound, Wisconsin's premier marketing and sales conference. Join us on April 28th in Milwaukee or April 29th in Green Bay. Register now at experienceinbound.com. Use code THEChangeOver to save $30 per ticket. We'll see you there.